Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, October 27th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple of quick clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, we are looking at WGRX, big mover today, and now have ourselves a good quality pattern headed in to Monday. So let's get this all mapped out here. So let's get this first part of the pattern drawn into play, the resistance area right there, very clean upper resistance, and then bottom part of the pattern right here. Get a nice clean lower support trend line right there. Let's change that to green to represent support. And then just to make everything stand out a bit easier, let's keep it all the same color. So we have our area of resistance. We have our area of support. We have the big explosive move right there. We have the golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visual. And this will be called a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's bullish does not mean for sure or guaranteed if the price consolidates out and then comes up here and breaks that it's going to make that move. My point is, it's valid. Is it a reasonable question to throw out there that maybe a break of that level could create additional buying pressure and momentum? That's absolutely a more than valid outcome. So if you like bull pennant patterns, you like stocks down below the $2 range, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, looking at BYND, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched yesterday's video on Thursday, but put that resistance line in place and you just can't make this stuff up. Look right where this thing started opening 30 minutes, rejected right from that level. So that area of resistance has certainly been confirmed as a very important level. So let's just extend this line out because that will be an important area here headed into next week. So from a resistance standpoint, nothing has changed. So all about that resistance line right there. So keep a close eye on that. And then the next key area of support that the price is now getting closer to from the bullish side of things is this pink line here, which on my chart denotes the very well-known, the very famous 200 period simple moving average. And even if you have just a basic understanding of charts, then I'm sure you've heard of that moving average, and you know that assuming you're bullish, when the price is above that area, you definitely want to see the price stay above it. And it is still above right now. My point is just getting closer and closer to potentially doing battle with it. So going into next week, that $1.93 mark going to be a very, very important area of support. So main area of resistance, the trend line, main area of support, 200 period, simple moving average valued at $1.93. So we'll see what happens. Next one here, TOVX, and this is exactly why I like to do these when the markets are still open for a little bit of time, because as I speak here, this last 30 minutes is rough, and even as I speak, this thing is continuing to push to lower lows. So right now, if I were to be forced to summarize this, I would just call it looking like we're right on the edge of a pump and dump. Now, I don't mean pump and dump in the sense of this is some company being run out of a bunker in North Korea. I just mean it from a strictly price action standpoint. And my definition of a pump and dump is that a price makes a really good move, and then within a relatively small amount of time, it goes back to where it started. So where did all this start? Well, it all started right here on Thursday. Big move. I think we can all agree that was a very impressive move. Second part, within a small amount of time, considering this is all happening in the same day, hopefully we can agree that this is all happening in a small amount of time. The price goes back to where it was. And that's where things are now looking very sketchy. Because yes, from its highs down to where it is right now, has it technically gone right back to where it started? Not quite, but even as I speak right now, it is getting closer and closer to quite literally going right back to where it was. So yes, things started off great. But as of right now, if I was, like I said, forced into a corner and said, Clay, just summarize this very quickly, I would say 30-minute time frame, pump and dump. Next one here, BBAI. I'm going to go through this one a little quicker because you've already heard me talk about this pattern before, so I want to respect your time as much as possible and not just sit here and be a totally broken record. Let's get this down a little bit more. There we go. And then support. So maybe you see where I'm headed with all this, but let's make sure everybody can see it. So there's our resistance. There's our support. There's a nice upward move right here. Our golf hole down here. So we're looking at another bull pennant pattern. I'd say the biggest difference here is the first bull pennant was down below on a $2 stock. Now this one's a whole lot more expensive, but it is up around that $5 to $10 range, as I know some people decide to parse things out. But anyway, look at it. If you like bull pennants, you definitely have a couple of choices here headed into Monday. Speaking of bull pennants, we got ourselves another one here, and it is certainly a good situation for all those. In fact, so this bull pennant, I'm not going to even draw a lower trend line. Let's just use that 200 period moving average, that pink line there, as the lower trend line to help us draw our pattern. So with that in mind, and that's what I like to do sometimes, maybe people would disagree using a moving average as a trend line, but I think it helps me visualize things. So there is our area of resistance. There is our area of support. There's a nice upwards move right here. And then if you put the golf hole down here, we're looking at yet another bull pennant pattern. So like I said, in the spirit of not wanting to waste your time, you understand that just because it's a bullish pattern does not mean the price is going to for sure go up, but is at least a valid scenario to throw out there? Absolutely. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a very common problem that maybe pertains to you, and that is the pattern day trade rule. A lot of people want to be day traders, and I define day trader as having unlimited day trades every single day, but they can't because of that pattern day trade rule. Or maybe some of you are just looking for a different market, maybe not have as much money at risk, and that is what I've been doing here for the past year now, where you have very small amounts of risk, but a whole lot of upside potential in a market that moves really, really well. Way better than penny stocks, way better than small caps or low floats, which I understand all this sounds crazy, which is why I would say, hey, come swing by the live stream. I live stream Monday through Friday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I go for a few hours, and you can see all this stuff with your very own eyes and ask me any questions that you may have. But please just realize that you do not need to be trapped under the pattern day trade rule. If you want to be a day trader and you don't have a whole lot of money, then what I've been doing, and you can do the exact same thing. Next one here, we are looking at DVLT, and sometimes I feel really bad because I don't feel very original. I feel like a broken record. But these days happen sometimes where you just get a lot of good, solid movement. But it just also happens to just be the same pattern happening over and over again. And that is what we have here. So if you are a lover of the bull pennant pattern, you're going to have all sorts of choices here headed in to next week. In fact, as I speak right now, this thing's coming up here. Is it going to... See, market closes in about 11 minutes. So let me put it this way. If you pull up DVLT and the price is already broken out, that is a good thing. Your analysis will just change now to not if the price can break, but it has broken. And then therefore the new question becomes, is this the start of something even bigger? So yeah, right now knocking right on the door. So again, you'll know where this closes by the time you watch it. So if the price does close up above that level, then the question now transitions. So okay, the breakout has occurred, but is this breakout the start of something even bigger? Which is always an exciting question to ask. Next one here, BURU. Overall, good solid movement, especially when you consider where the price was at its lows and then where it eventually battled all the way back up to. But we still definitely do have an overarching area of resistance that got to think a lot of people will be watching. It stands out like a pretty sore thumb right there at 42 cents. Now, not a perfect clean area because, yes, late day today, the price technically did push a little bit up above it, but the price was never able to maintain above it. And as it fell back below, this level right here at 42 cents remains that key initial area of resistance. So we want to keep an eye on that. In terms of areas of support, the ideal level, that being defined as an area where if you say, Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute best going forward? That would be if the price can continue to stay up above that pink line there. The 200 period moving average right now valued at 39 cents. But if that level can't hold, then from an overarching standpoint, you want to see the price stay above that purple line, which it did do a beautiful job of right there. Current value of that purple line, 50 period moving average, currently at 34 cents. But yeah, knocking on the door, 42 cents. Can the bulls push through it next week? We'll see what happens. Next one here, next one here, NVDA, and doing a lot of work. I'm going to just delete these out. And we have another one of these situations where the question has changed a little bit here because going into it, last I checked, I thought I was going to be talking about, yeah, you guessed it, another bull pennant. But since then, you can see that the price has actually come up and broken through there. So now we just have a different question. Again, it's that exciting question though. And that question is this the start of something even bigger? Now think about that question. It makes no sense to ask the question if nothing worthwhile has even happened. Well, because then you said, well, is what the start of something bigger? Nothing has even occurred. But that's clearly not the case here, right? The breakout of the bull pennant has happened. So yeah, is this the start of something bigger? To be fair, I mean, maybe not. Maybe this thing just rolls right back over. But again, to be fair, that is a two-sided coin. Maybe this thing is getting ready to rock and roll and make another great move here this upcoming week. So bull pennant has been broken. Now just a question for NVIDIA. Is this breakup the start of even more momentum to come next week? We'll see how it all plays out. Next one here, NEUP, crazy day today. And this is where things can always get pretty sketchy. Big gap up. Then the price moves all the way up there. And then this starts to happen. And this starts to happen. And this. And then at this point, it becomes a very valid question. Like, uh-oh. Is this just a pump and dump? Is just one of these gap and traps? And it still could be, but as of right now, the price has at least been able to level out. So let me be very clear. Just because something levels out does not mean for sure guaranteed the pullback is done and for sure guaranteed the price is going to go back upwards. My point here is it's a more plausible scenario to throw out there as a possibility. Case in point, let's just say the price was still just dropping, and then I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be the bottom. You'd be totally justified to say, wait, based on what? The price is literally just dropping straight down. But that's not the case here. The price has at least started to go sideways. Again, that guarantees nothing. It just makes it more plausible. So if this is going to curl back upwards and if this is the bottom, well, then by definition, you're going to want to see this area down here hold as support at $5.65. And then on the resistance side of things, it's looking like the top part of this little sideways channel right here around $6.70. So who knows, maybe this thing stays in this channel for a little bit while longer. But the longer it does stay in this sideways channel, the stronger and stronger the case becomes of, okay, this pullback is over. There's a new low being built. There's a new foundation being built. So we'll see what happens with it. But yes, definitely was looking sketchy for a little bit, but now this sideways action has the chart making or looking a lot more interesting headed into Monday. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and this will mean more to those of you that watched the previous videos, but if you have been talking about this red line up here at 449 quite a bit, and a pretty nasty move when you stop and think about the fact that the price came up here and broke. Now, to be fair, if you're like some sort of scalper day trader and you're buying and you're selling within just a few moments, few minutes, then yeah, that was actually a nice little breakout. You got enough movement, and yeah, then you're happy that you scalped out. Now, for anybody else that was looking for more bigger movement, more follow through, they were left very, very disappointed today because after that breakout, it had a very rough day. Rough I'm being defining as first off breaking down through the purple line there, and then even breaking down through the pink line there. So from that angle, yeah, rough. Now, from big picture, was it a terrible rough day? It wasn't. Because from an overarching standpoint, and this will, like I said, mean more to those of you that have watched previous videos, the price is still well up above that area of support down there. So it's not like, now had the price come all the way down here and then crash down through there, all right, that's a much different situation. That is way worse. So like I said, bad day today via that fake breakout, and then it broke down through a couple of those key moving averages. But from more of an overarching standpoint, Tesla is doing just fine. It's still well within, the big sideways channel here. So it's not like it's collapsed down to new lows. It's just still chopping back and forth, but by no means any sort of like, crazy collapses or anything like that. So depending on your vantage point, depending on your strategy, that's going to dictate how today actually was. Was it a good day, a bad day, a terrible day? That's where everybody's kind of got to determine, what was your strategy and, what was your viewpoint going into the trade. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you are sick and tired of the pattern day trading rule, or you just want a market that moves very smooth and where you have very little of your money at risk, but you have a whole lot of upside potential, then definitely come swing by the live stream and watch it with your very own eyes, because I 100% understand this can all sound a little too good to be true. What's the catch? I get it. So come watch it with your own eyes, ask me any sort of questions, and I'd be happy to try to provide any sort of clarity for you. So thank you for hanging out. As always, make sure you hit that like button, and hopefully I'll see you sometime on the live stream next week.